Ryan, my God, you have the summer movie. This is amazing. It is deeply layered. I mean, this film is probably the best video game movie there is, and it's not based on a video game franchise. But the script is extremely original and it's extremely thought provoking. How did the script evolve when you guys first started the project to when you saw it on the screen?
Well, it took on a life of its own, really. I mean, you know, it was a script that I'd read. I sent it to Shawn Levy. I said, this is something I think we could do together. I love the themes of it. I mean, particularly backdropped by the world we've been living in the last many years. And we just jumped into it. I mean, Zach Penn and Shawn Levy and I all just started a massive kind of rewrite that really went all the way through to the edit room. I mean, it was such a labor of love, but you know, there's an old expression that, listen to your movie because it will talk to you. And Shawn is a guy that the reason why I keep working with Shawn and love Shawn so much is he believes in that same sort of idea as well. So we were kind of pivoting and moving with this movie the whole time, and the script kind of eventually sort of found or took on this whole life of its own, and it's really, I think, probably the best film I've ever been lucky enough to be a part of. So
I mean, it is so good, and it also was my first movie back seeing it in a big theater, so like it was the perfect movie to see on that size of a screen. Now, was this film made before the Fox and Disney merger? And if so, during the merger, did anything change because of it? And you don't, obviously, if there's spoilers there, you can kind of...
Yeah. It was right at the cusp of the takeover where Disney bought Fox, and takeover sounds so sinister. I love it. I'm using it for the rest of the day. So yes and no. We had got the green light before this acquisition had happened, and then once Disney had bought Fox and subsequently this movie, we were then able to kind of exploit, if you will, some of the IP that Disney owns. You know, there are Easter eggs in this movie that are pretty crazy, and they, you know, having seen it with an audience myself and seeing how people jump to their feet at certain moments in the movie, it's a lot of fun, and none of that would have been possible without Disney's, you know, blessing and okay. So we were pretty excited to have that arsenal in our arsenal.
Now, one of the coolest things I've seen was the marketing for this, where it was Deadpool and Korg. How did that even come together?
The Deadpool Korg piece was just something that we'd written over at Maximum Effort Marketing, my company, and George Dewey and I wrote it out and tried to see if we could get it past Disney and if they would say yes. We didn't think they would, because they've said no to some other things that were kind of in that wheelhouse. But they said yes, and then the next step was asking Taika if he'd be up for it, and of course he was, because Taika is just the greatest. And we shot it. You know, it's probably the most expensive reaction video ever made.
Now, look, there's a ton of cameos in this movie, and there's a ton of like surprises in this movie, but I hope that doesn't take away from the story, because at the heart of this, I mean, this movie has a ton of heart. It's so good. Thank you so much for your time, Ryan. I really love this movie.
Really, really appreciate you taking the time as well. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you very much, Ryan.